You got mail.
Do you remember the 90s?
Come on, Uncle Phil, this is the 90s, man.
Man, it's the 90s. It's hammer time. Come on.
It's the 90s, remember? Microchips, microwaves, faxes, earphones.
Ma, it's the 90s. You can call it what it is.
Yada, yada, yada.
I can be anything I want to be. It's the 90s.
What, are you nuts? This is the 90s. We're gonna sue you.
Wake up and smell the 90s.
Oh, you gotta jump jiving, then you really gotta jump jiving, then you really gotta jump jiving, then you really.
All right, what do you think this episode is about?
I can't even begin. I was looking at a Gap ad that had obvious Matrix influences, I remember, or something,
Yes.
but I can't even. Yuppie? The Matrix?
Nope.
I mean, that would be a hell of a way to get into the Matrix.
Yeah, that would be a
Gap
really
ad.
weird way to get
but
into the Matrix.
that's the most dude answer I can think of right now.
It was a very famous commercial.
It was a very famous
but
commercial.
No. One more guess, and then I'll tell you.
Is it about the Gap?
It is not about the Gap.
I have
It is about the very peculiar, 3-year period in the 90s when everyone was obsessed with swing music. And that Gap commercial made it jump the shark, basically. That was the nail in the coffin of swing music.
As a white male of that time, I am down with this premise. I was all on board with all of this, the Zoot Suit Riots, the Squirrel Nut Zippers, the Voodoo Daddies.
Name more.
Oh, geez.
There wasn't that many more.
Swingers. Can I say baby as many times as possible?
Hey, gorgeous, it's Trent calling.
Listen to me, baby. There's gonna be beautiful babies there. You gotta get out with the beautiful babies. Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Cool, baby, I'm cool. Honey, we're gonna be up 500. Vegas, baby, Vegas!
What a plague Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn left in the tail end of just the 1990s.
So since we're there, we can start with the movie Swingers, which is the only movie of that period that specifically was about this kind of cocktail lounge culture thing with the combination of 30s and 40s, big band, rockabilly, boogie woogie kind of music.
Yeah, and it definitely, not unlike Pulp Fiction and not unlike Good Will Hunting at that time, it was very quotable.
Very quotable.
And it seemed everywhere.
So let's give a context to who were the creative team behind Swingers. So it was directed by
Jon Favreau.
Most notable for
Iron Man. He's the guy who started and kickstarted the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He directed Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Appears in the entire universe as Happy Hogan.
I've never been more turned on.
This is research. This is not firsthand knowledge. And he created The Mandalorian, the TV show. My favorite Jon Favreau tidbit is that he directed Elf, probably one of the best, in my opinion, Christmas movie of the last 20 years.
Yes, I know.
And he plays the doctor in it as a little cameo. And Vince Vaughn is most known for what, do you think?
This movie in Wedding Singers, I believe. Or Wedding Crashers. Wedding Crashers, not Wedding Singer.
Dodgeball, Fred Claus.
And obviously, Gus Van Sant's remake of Psycho.
Okay. And then there's Heather Graham, who is not my very favorite actress of any time. But she's in it, and that's cool, whatever. She's most known for The Hangover and Boogie Nights, probably. So that movie kind of epitomized and brought together the elements of swing dancing. Now, do you know anybody who did swing dancing during that time period?
I knew no.
I have friends who did it, and I remember them saying, "Oh, we're going swing dancing tonight." I'm like, great. The bands that were kind of big during that time were Cherry Poppin Daddies, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Brian Setzer Orchestra. Those are the ones that I'm most familiar with.
I was going to say the Brian Setzer Orchestra was the one that was probably the biggest one, and they had actually been popular even before that because they had started, I believe, in the 80s.
Late 80s, yeah.
The late 80s, like in that idea of the rockabilly.
Yeah, I guess I'm not a music historian in any way, but I guess it goes with like rockabilly and boogie woogie and a little bit of ska and all that. So here's another example of movies during that time period. So that scene there was from the movie A League of Their Own. So that scene in particular had Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, a little bit of Lori Petty, and the film also includes Tom Hanks. And it was set during the original Boogie Woogie era. The Mask has a great swing dance sequence in it as well, with Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz.
Let's rock this joint! Smoking!
Before any of this, it was 94. I remember going to see that film, and yeah, that was huge that he was wearing like the whole zoot suit thing, the whole yellow zoot suit. That was rocking.
Singing stuff like that there, Kelly Clarkson.
I was a bugging and squeezing and bugging and teasing and stuff like that there.
So there was definitely some additional adjacent music from the post-war, World War II era.
Do you have any idea about why suddenly something like that became popular? It seems so strange to me that our generation in the 90s suddenly went back to started fetishizing. Thank you. The 30s and the 40s, the same way that our parents did the 50s.
Yeah, I think it's all cyclical. We go back and forth and we resurrect old trends. And
my take on this is that it's the exact opposite of grunge. At the beginning of the 90s, it was almost like our version of the hippie generation, where it was people just, I wouldn't say they gave up, but the style of the time was to not be stylish.
Well, it was to not care, to be messy, to be casual. And this is very much the opposite of casual. It's very put together. It's very done hair, red lipstick, nice dresses. The men looked nice too.
Yeah, in the whole idea of like dancing. I mean, you're not just like
formal dancing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going
intentional dancing.
You're going from Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and just moshing and banging your head to something that you have to be an athlete to do this, or someone's going to get hurt.
Well, and you have to be rehearsed with your partner to a certain extent too. Like people would take classes so that you could do it.
This was also the rise of the expensive cigar bars and cocktail places. Yeah, where you'd have expensive, you'd spend all these money on, but specifically the cigar bars, I remember had all of these guys in it. And if you look at swingers or any of the stuff, it's always the idea of these guys with these big cigars, martinis.
Yeah, apparently one of the main clubs was in LA, and it was the Brown Derby, and it was in swingers. Now, here is something that I did not remember, mostly because I don't pay attention to football. In 1999, the halftime show was swing music.
The National Football League and Radio City Entertainment proudly present today's Progressive Auto Insurance Super Bowl 33 halftime show, starring Stevie Wonder, Gloria Estefan, and special guest, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either, but it was 1999.
It was so 1999.
It was very 1999. But it was kind of like the end. It got so mainstream and so pop culture that it didn't matter anymore. Like we were like, okay, we're good with this.
Yeah, no, it
fizzled fast.
It fizzled real fast. I was about to say, I remember there was such a backlash to swingers, the movie and all the baby stuff and everything. It became clownish and really like, I still love the music. I still think that the best thing out of that was that this was my jam. I was like, thank God. I feel like a 65, 70-year-old man.
Yeah.
Finally, I don't have to be,
I don't hate contemporary music now.
Yeah, I
because it's not contemporary.
My cool factor, I can tell you, is I would have Squirrel Nut Zippers on a mixtape in my car, and I'd be blaring that driving around with my friends. That's how cool I was. But for once, I was cool for that very short, small window.
It was like 3 years. It was short and sweet, but it was everywhere.
I'm trying to think of another. I mean, grunge was about, I think, the same kind of blink and you'd miss it, but the height was so huge.
But I think that the 90s are still associated with grunge. I think people forget that this swing music renaissance existed for 3 years in the 90s. It was such a blip that if you weren't there, you don't know about it. Everybody knows about Nirvana. Everybody knows about grunge because it was a whole cultural shift, and it was in the fashion, it was in obviously music, it was in film. The whole aesthetic existed, and our kid refers to to grunge as like a style thing, but nobody remembers about this.
Not only people don't remember about it, I think people in a lot of ways were ashamed of it. No, but I guarantee you it was so trendy that
it was very trendy.
I remember people going out to do swing dancing classes, and people would wear like the suits and things like that. You did not see those suits come out after about 6 months or so. It wasn't like it was deep in the closet and buried. Mm-hmm. They were not. Those pictures are deep.
Well,
into
they didn't
album.
exist because we didn't have phones with us everywhere.
Maybe
there are no pictures of swing music in the 90s.
It makes them even more like dirty or salacious.
Rarefied.
Rarefied. They're just these Polaroids that are in some album somewhere of you in your zoot suit phase.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been a zoot suit for me. It would have been a fit and flare. Thank you very much.
Did you have any experience with this in Canada? Did this come up to this trend?
It came up to Canada. I had my two good friends who are twins, who did do swing lessons when they were teenagers. They would just go out swing dancing. I do remember that specifically. I personally liked the aesthetic of like the old movie star, and I think that is an aesthetic that I am still drawn to, possibly because it was a formative age, because we were like late high school when this whole thing happened. So early college. But I've never done it. I have no what you would call rhythm.
I think that's why why we're such a great pair.
We suck at the same things. Anyway, that's the swing dancing episode.
I've enjoyed this little trip into the blip.
Yeah, that was swing dance.
The zoot suit riot of the very late 90s. All right, well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Cheryl.
And the 90s. Baby. You're so money. Oh, so money.
So money.
Till next time, baby.
Honey.
Got a favorite 90s moment or topic you want us to dive into? We'd love to hear about it. If you think we got everything wrong, we'd love to hear about that too. Drop us an email at andthe90spod@gmail.com, link in the episode description, and you can be damn sure that we'll read your comments on the show. Also, if you're digging the show, please rate, comment, subscribe, and tell everyone you know to check us out. It really does make a difference. Till next time, remember, we're nostalgia for the olds and education for the youths.